Hey everybody, welcome back to the RFD show. In this episode, we are going to discuss the New Zealand, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, and then just their relationship between the teams, and just the overall way that the players choose for which nation they need to play for. So that was just a confusing entrance, but I think we can keep that one up. Daniel is on the other side of the line. Daniel, how are you?
No, it's interesting topic to talk about. Obviously, starting with the Eddie Jones comment about 2 weeks ago when we were recording
Mm.
this, and the comment that you read, and I think you'll elaborate on it. So interesting to see what New Zealand is doing with the three islands, obviously being Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga, and they're close and obviously not that bad rugby nations. So interesting topic we have tonight, and hopefully the viewers and the listeners interact and yeah, remember to check out social media and just tweet us what you think about this podcast as well. Then,
Yes, it is a very interesting topic because, like you said, Eddie Jones mentioned in a Skype interview with the Breakdown from New Zealand, their rugby show. Mills Miliana asked him about the Super Rugby Aotearoa and what does he think about the teams and the players, and then he made this comment of he doesn't know where you guys are getting all these cool players, but now I know it is. The rugby academies, Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga, which I think Bowles just chuckled a bit. And hopefully we are going to get into the juicy stuff. Why I think he had a good laugh about that. So yes, let's just dive into this, and we're just gonna have a great discussion about this topic because hopefully everyone that is listening doesn't exactly know or have knowledge about this. I hope that we can really bring you valuable content. We did a deep dive into the subject, Daniel and I, and we found out some very interesting stats that we never knew about. Some amazing players. I mean, Hall of Fame, potential Hall of Fame players in the future. So, with that being said, let's quickly start with also another article that was released, I think, the 16th of June by the Fijian Sun. FijiSun.com is the URL, and it just literally said here that the CEO of the CEO of Fiji Rugby Union, Chief Executive Officer John O'Connor, spoke about how Fijian players play for a Super Rugby franchise, of course, because Super Rugby is one of the biggest competitions in rugby, definitely in the Southern Hemisphere. And he actually they quoted him saying, this goes for all Fijian players playing for the New Zealand clubs in Super Rugby. Their contract is in such a way that when they sign their contracts, their allegiances goes first to New Zealand. So if they want to play for Fiji, they will lose their Super Rugby contract. This is quite shocking to read and get into this. So Daniel, what do you think about that statement? This whole article about John O'Connor and the Fijian CEO.
to realize that you can control someone's international career based on where they
Mm,
play their Super Rugby or their rugby in general. Because let's say because we had an argument about money. So let's say one of these guys wants to go play overseas. And now that he doesn't want to play for Samoa or Fiji or so on, he can't represent New Zealand because he has a contract overseas and the contract states that he has to play in New Zealand for that. So a loyalty system. So that's kind of forcing players to pick money over nation and but I don't know the allegiance they have to New Zealand, how good it is. If there's something like a moral clash even. So it'll be interesting to know if the players actually have like a moral code that they say, because I'm Samoan, it doesn't matter if I play for New Zealand. And that's why we'll see the numbers later on in this podcast. But it's quite shocking to know that's a clause in the contract, because we don't force anyone from overseas in South Africa to play for South Africa, and we are the
mm.
World Cup winners. So it's an interesting prospect to see how that plays out in different nations, and they control three islands technically. Then, so
Yes, I agree with you. I think that is a scary thought the way that they can control that, the whole decision making of for who do you want to play for. And I mean, I think it also comes with great honor to play for the All Blacks, but it should be for, if you're a Fijian born and you're going to play for Fiji as well, that should be exactly the same type of honor. I know that the All Blacks have this amazing record in world rugby. It is definitely true. The last 10 years, their winning rate was 89%, which is phenomenal. I love stats, and that stat is just scary because of the last 10 years. It's not just 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. So that makes it very interesting as well. But with that also being said, I think with the players playing, let's say 5, 6, 7 years for a Super Rugby franchise, they get so used to the way that New Zealand plays, the way that the coaches coach them, the way that the whole system works, and then it is easier for them not to relocate or just go overseas back to their home to go play for their nation. They rather just play for New Zealand because they're already there, you know. So I'm
Yes,
just thinking about that.
yeah, and better coaches, better exposure worldwide, even better. Because we can mention South Africans that went overseas and didn't honor their country in that sense of playing for another nation. But if you get the opportunity, you get the opportunity. So it can go either way, depending on what outcome you have. Because let's say one of these guys moved when they were 3 years old. They don't have a say where they play now because they live in New Zealand. It'll be dumb for them to suddenly fly back. So I think that's something we can also dive maybe into another podcast, is how many of these players actually went and moved early, or actually just went over when Super Rugby started peaking for them.
Yes, yes, I agree with you there because I don't know all of these players' backgrounds, but
Mm,
George Gregan, actually, that happened. He was 11 or 8 years old. He moved to Australia, so wasn't
mm.
born there, but then got used to the culture. Basically, his whole not just childhood but young adult life, and then into adulthood was in Australia. So he accustomed to the culture there and the way that they play, and phenomenal career at Australia Rugby, one of the all-time best. Um, but with this particular, article, um, it also explains that O'Connor said, and I'm just quoting it from the article straight. It's O'Connor said Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga have had meetings with New Zealand Rugby where they have requested if New Zealand Rugby could relax the eligibility clause of the Super Rugby contracts to allow for one or two players to be eligible to play for Fiji, Tonga, or Samoa, and also then play in the Super Rugby competition. And he also direct quoted, "There has been no progress," which just for me is very shocking and just red flags all over. Because if New Zealand have this monopoly over amazing rugby nations like Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa, then the spoils will always go to the All Blacks, and I think that's going to be very interesting. What are your thoughts about that process?
Yes, I believe that there should be some kind of clause that counteracts their clause, because obviously a player should be able to choose his eligible nation if he has two or more. Obviously, it depends on where his parents' nationality is and what his is and where he wants to play. But then if he gets selected for New Zealand or Fiji, he can have the opportunity to say, I want to play for Fiji because this reason, or I want to play for New Zealand, I want to stay here. So it's not because of a clause where he has to play, but where his heart lies, he wants to play. And I
Yes.
believe if that was brought in 20 years ago, Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga would be a lot further now in sport
Mhm.
than where they are now. So let's say like someone like Falau, Israel Folau, that is available, I think, for Tonga,
Yes.
or was available for Tonga. Imagine that quality player played for Tonga. That would have been a
Mhm.
crazy revelation, and people wanted to play with him when he was still an international player. So that will have changed the whole Tonga dynamic. And imagine a kid looking at and saying, "But I can represent Tonga, and I can be good, and I can change world class players, and I can play against them for Tonga." And that will obviously shift and make a ripple effect, and that's only one player. So yes, I believe it's a clause that has to be looked at, definitely.
Definitely, because if this isn't changed in the next couple of years, if this whole process isn't changed, how can we ever expect Tonga, Fiji, or Samoa to compete in a Rugby World Cup?
Yeah.
It's literally like we are sending 4 teams to the Rugby World Cup. There's an A team, we call them the All Blacks, and then we have like the B, C, and D side. Because
Yeah.
it's not the whole 15 players of Samoa playing for the All Blacks. That's not what I'm trying to say in this episode. I'm trying to just explain there are major names. There are amazing quality players that has chosen in their own respective ways. They made the choice to go play for the All Blacks, which is fine. That is their choice. But it shouldn't be dictated when they want to make a career out of playing rugby. The first nation that they will go to, and also the one that is the nearest to them, of course, on a map geographically, is New Zealand. And then when they get there, they say, listen here, we'll give you a contract. You are a 120 kilogram player, amazing ball skills, can run almost like a 12 on 100, whatever the case might be. But the only reason you're gonna sign here is because you will be eligible for New Zealand. And if we want you here, you have to be here. You don't have a choice. Otherwise, you're going to lose your job. That's basically what they're telling you. You are going to lose your job if you don't comply. So I
The,
think that
the,
is.
the other side to this contract that can be negative is, let's say you sign eighth men from Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa, and you give them all the same contract, and only one dominates the jersey for 10 years. Someone like a Richie McCaw that dominates the jersey for 10 years. The other 7 players will not be eligible to play for other nations, but they won't play for New Zealand as well because one person is dominating the jersey. So it actually takes the monopoly away, and it denies other nations a chance to pick their strongest squads. If you think about it, and in a sense that if you have 7 players and that's only one position, so
that makes complete sense, because not even I'm not irrational about this topic. It's not that I'm saying, if let's say there were Richie McCaw in the jersey and the jersey isn't going to be it's not going to be shared with other people, okay, and you have an amazing player on flank that is a Fijian or a Tongan born player, okay, I think it's not that they won't choose to go play for their nation. It's out of the fear of being fired. I think that is why they don't do it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So I don't think it's a they can't go back after a couple of years and then go play for their nation, and they will still lose their contracts if they can negotiate it on a good and a well set way with their coaching staff and with the management. Hopefully they can work out a point of agreement. But if you are a player that has not yet played for your nation, and you are like, how can I say it, like this virgin in international rugby, you haven't played international rugby, they definitely going to keep you at bay. They're going to keep you in the New Zealand system, because if you're good, they want you there. They want you for New Zealand. They don't want you to go play for another nation. And I think that's very interesting, because while we were speaking, the first guy that came to mind was Tim Nanai Williams.
yeah,
Tim
for
Nanai
sure.
Williams. Come on. What an amazing player. I mean, single-handedly sometimes get Samoa over the finish line, over the white line to get a try. And amazing player. And if I'm not mistaken, I can be completely off here, but he had the choice to play for New Zealand. He actually had a choice, and he didn't want to. He wanted to play for Samoa. But with that being said, we have so many names to go through. So Daniel, you can jump in first with a name there that has played for New Zealand but was not born in New Zealand. He was born in another Pacific nation.
So someone lesser known, probably less test caps and so on. Nepo Loalala, who was born in Samoa. He played 26 games for New Zealand. 2015, so I don't know if he was part of he's part of the Rugby World Cup squad. So he was a World Cup winner as well. So quite a big name. And then another person I have is Simone Tuao was born in Tonga, and he played a total of 3 caps for New Zealand between 2004 and 2005. So
that's interesting as well. Like you mentioned, one World Cup winner, the other one also playing quite a career for New Zealand, the All Blacks. So I have here. I hope I'm going to pronounce this name right. I think it's Isaiah Ice Tuava. He is a Samoan-born player. He played for the Blues. I just mentioned it off air because I've been supporting the Blues probably the last 10 years. New Zealand-based side. I love the Blues, and he played for them. He was also the replacement utility back in the 2011 World Cup, where of course New Zealand won. So World Cup winner, born in Samoa. And then the next name that I want to mention is probably one of the best ever for New Zealand, and that is the man himself who asked the question on the breakdown, Mils Muliaina, which was born in Samoa. Decorated career, amazing career for New Zealand. He had so many achievements. I'm not even going to name all of them. It's amazing. But again, a World Cup winner in 2011, IRP Player of the Year 2010, 100 test caps for the All Blacks. Born not in New Zealand, born in Samoa. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then you get someone like Sosene Anesi, who was born in Samoa, who played 1 cap for New Zealand and 6 caps for Junior All Blacks. And then he played national sevens for Samoa and New Zealand, but only playing 1 cap in 2005 for New Zealand. So imagine what a career he could have had in Samoa.
Yes.
Because then a bigger name, someone like Ofatunga Fasi, who's I believe is also, he didn't win the World Cup. He was just after the World Cup 2016 he started playing, but New Zealand under 20, obviously a Blues player. He was born in Tonga. So another big name that is currently still making impact on rugby today in New Zealand, not born in New Zealand.
Yes. Amazing. Tuanga Fasi. Yes, and then also a couple of other names here that, we need to get through them all because it's amazing players. Malakai Fikitoa, born in Tonga, played 24 matches, scored 40 points for New Zealand. Again, also played in the 2015 team who won the World Cup. The legendary Joe Rokokoko, born in Fiji. I mean, Joe Rokokoko, what a badass player.
Yes.
I think also one of the best. I think he defined hugging the touchline. that
and
for
big
me,
dives and big dives
and big dives, yes. Amazing player. I mean, if I think about him, I think about the legendary games in the Tri Nations. That's what I think.
Yes,
Joe Rokokoko.
sure.
And then I'm just gonna throw it out there for all the gaming people, gaming guys, gaming girls. 08, 06, 08 rugby. Joe Rokokoko. If you play with the All Blacks, you want him in your team, and that was just insane.
Yeah,
a decorated player. Also, if I'm not mistaken, he missed out on a World Cup win to get a medallion. Unfortunately, he was part in the 2007, where they unfortunately did not win the World Cup. But almost 70 tests, 69 tests, 235 points for New Zealand. Amazing stuff.
And then 2 players that I have that had a big influence on my rugby career, Chris Masoe and Jerry Collins, both Samoans that played for New Zealand. And obviously Jerry Collins passed away in recent years. So a big loss to rugby. But still, New Zealand had a great impact on the game of rugby. Chris Masoe was a massive guy, playing hard, great rugby. And then another guy that unfortunately passed away, Sione Luaki, that was born in Tonga, that he didn't have the greatest career in New Zealand rugby. And there's actually a highlights package of him where he knocks the ball on 4 times on his debut game. So it's bad.
Oh, wow.
But you know, still a big guy with a big influence in the Chiefs final against the Bulls in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And that's where he made his name, and that's where he got selected for the New Zealand side. And you know, obviously made an impact afterwards and after that shocker of a debut. But you know, went on to become a great All Black. So.
Yes, great names. Definitely Jerry Collins, rest in peace, one of the best players. I mean, come on. I can always remember when he gets a cut on his head. Then, you know, you're going to see it.
Of his.
Because of the white hair. So yes, that's very interesting. Then I want to mention two players here. Sivivatu, amazing player. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Made his career at the Chiefs. Unfortunately, also did not win a World Cup medal. Was unfortunately not picked for the 2011 World Cup. But again, amazing career for New Zealand. Yes, born in Fiji. It's just insane. Well, as we are mentioning these names, it just really comes to mind, or just it's really what Eddie said. Eddie made a joke of it, and we're going to get into another couple of names just now. But he mentioned that they have the pick. They have the pick. And as we're mentioning these names, it's not bothering me, but it is something to address. I really hope the rugby community literally do not just leave it aside. We need to address this because we never address it. First of all, like you said, if this was addressed 10, 20, 30 years ago, imagine how the teams Samoa, Tonga, Fiji could bring to the World Cup. I mean, final quality teams. They're going to the final. That's insane. Imagine just quickly, one of the biggest guys in rugby in the recent years, Ndolo. I can't remember his name now. His surname is
Nemanje Ndolo.
Ndolo. Yes, he played for the Crusaders. The biggest threat about Ndolo was not his size; it was his skill. It was his skill that was scary, because you give him the ball, he can kick, he can run, he can sidestep, he can pass, he can even scrum. I'm not kidding. He can scrum. And that was the scary part. I think the only thing he couldn't do was jump, because he weighed too much.
He was good in the air. There's a lot of tries where he scores from the air, so he was very, very good in the air.
Yes. I actually meant with lineouts, but yes, under the ball, absolutely. He was amazing. I think the only two things he couldn't do, he couldn't jump at lineout, and then he couldn't fetch.
No, I think with that body, he can definitely fetch. He would have worked on it, and I think he went on and played a couple of games for Fiji, and obviously didn't do that bad, goal kicking and so on wise.
Yes, I can just remember. I think it was also 2015 when he kicked for goal. I was shocked. I was like, this guy, what can't he do in rugby? I mean, seriously, he's just carrying the whole team. So yes, and then one of the star players at the moment, somebody that gets me exciting, gets me excited. Excuse me, gets Daniel excited. I'm pretty sure. I know for a fact he gets the Jackal excited. Sevu Reece. I'm not even going to pronounce his full name. Sevu Reece. He's playing for the Crusaders at the moment. He is an electric guy. Electric type of guy. I mean, the closest thing that New Zealand has come to a Cheslin Colby is a Sevu Reece, in my opinion. There were a couple of other players that we could have mentioned in that regard, but born in Fiji, playing for New Zealand, and I think with only 6 appearances at the moment, he still has a long road ahead. He's not. I don't think they're gonna drop him off very quickly. I think he's gonna stay in the New Zealand camp for this time and day. Ekskuus, ek gaan daai stuk net uithaal. Het jy nog spelers?
Ja, ek nog 4. Ek sal dit sommer net noem en dan so klaar.
Okay,
Okay.
go, yeah.
Yeah. So getting back to mentioning some players, I have Toero Kobalo, Australian born, obviously played scrum off and he's a World Cup winner in 2015. Another Australian, Tyler Lomax, who played actually for the under-20s, I believe, in Australia, and then moved over to New Zealand Super Rugby. So plays his game, most of his rugby for the Highlanders. So that's quite interesting to see. Via Fafita, who's a crucial part of the Hurricanes, who made his debut, I think, in 2016 for the New Zealand team, who's been in recent injuries and so on, was born in Tonga and yeah, also a good asset for New Zealand rugby. And then a big name from the past, Rodney Solialu, who was also born
Oh,
in
yes.
Samoa. So, and he obviously dominated, making 101 caps for the Hurricanes and making 62 test appearances for the All Blacks between 2002 and 2009. So, obviously, a great impact for New Zealand rugby.
Yes, amazing player, amazing player. Con I can also just remember in the days when I just started watching rugby, the Hurricanes. I can he and Ma Nonu had the same hairstyle, so I would always look at the back of their numbers like, okay, this is the 8 man, this is
Yeah,
the inside center.
yeah,
And then I have two players left on my list that we did research about as well, is Wasaki Noholo. Oh, what a name. Before he got injured in the 2015 World Cup, he was just terrorizing people left, right, and center. Um,
yeah,
made 27 appearances for them, is a World Cup winner in 2015. Just an amazing player. And also he had a great run with the Highlanders. But yes, again, a Fijian born player. And then I left the best for last. This guy was in the outfit of the All Blacks and for the Kiwis, since I can remember, and he is the closest to a Jerry Collins that I can name. Definitely is Jerome Kano,
yeah,
a
for
faithful
sure. Yeah,
player for the All Blacks and for the Blues. Played 14 years for the Blues, 137 appearances. He was
sure.
born in Samoa. And the interesting thing here that I just want to point out, we did not do this with every person, but Daniel made an amazing point in the beginning, as he always do in a podcast, is that he relocated when he was just 4 years old. His family relocated in 1987 when he was just 4 years old to Auckland in New Zealand. So he grew up in Auckland. For him, Auckland was the only home, and then he had, of course, eligibility to play for Samoa if he wanted to, but he just went through the ranks in New Zealand, played junior All Blacks, New Zealand All Blacks, New Zealand Colts, which is a team that I'm not familiar with, played Barbarians, Blues, Auckland. That's what he did, and he never changed his allegiance to the Blues, which is very interesting. So that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to this point. We know this is a bit of a longer episode that we normally do, but we would really like you to weigh in your opinion about this topic. We think it's very important. I definitely feel it's very important. I think Daniel on the other side is saying, let's do this. Get your opinion to us as quickly as possible. So please tweet us at Rugby for Days, or just send us a DM on Instagram at Rugby for Days as well. You can do that any way as you would like. It doesn't matter at all. Or you can even comment on our YouTube channel. That would be very interesting. And then Daniel, I'll leave you with the question of the day.
So this being not only players that can single-handedly change a 15-man lineup. So someone like that can change a game in a second, like Name on the Scudder could do, or you give the ball to Jonah when he runs over 4 players and scores a magnificent try. How different would the World Cups have been over the years if these players played for their nationality? And I want to include the players that moved overseas to New Zealand when they were like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't matter. If Jerome Kano played for his home nation, Severies played for his home nation, and if you take everybody back, what would be the difference in the World Cups? Do you think? Do you think New Zealand will still have a dominance, or would they have actually had to try and win a World Cup? So that's my question of the day.
Amazing question. Amazing question. Please do get your opinion on that question to us as in any form that you wish online, and then we will see you in the next episode. Hashtag RFD family.